Hello and welcome to a daily dose of SirToshi's news. We're going to do a podcast style today because I was at the farmers' protest down in London and I've met Piers Corbyn, who is with me now.
Hello.
And yes, hello Piers.
Hello, it's fantastic to be here.
Oh, great to have you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to explain Bitcoin to Piers Corbyn and we're going to see how it goes. So before we start, let's just crack on with the music.
Down in a small town where the cornfields grow high, there's talk of the future and a man who won't lie. Underneath the big old stars with a country code, there's a revolution brewing, it's about to explode. Craig says he's SirToshi like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. From the Genesis block where the story began, he's acclaiming his legacy of digital man. Craig says he's SirToshi like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. From the Genesis block where the story began, he's acclaiming his legacy of digital man.
There we go. Right. Let's get on with the interview. So, we've just got images of this is you, Piers.
That's
Wasn't it
right.
earlier today? So, just to tell everybody who's listening or who's going to be listening to this what it was that was actually going on today.
Well, there was a big farmers' protest with farmers' tractors all over, blocking up Whitehall completely, driving around Parliament Square, tooting their horns and saying, basically, save farming. And we went there with our little banner, which is, it says, yes, farmers, yes, food, break the climate con. Because these farmers, you see, are being misled by the National Farmers Union and operations like Together, which were actually set up by the Prime Minister at the time, Mr. Sunak, and the biggest PR operation in the world to control opposition. So the point is that the farming issue is really very important. What we got is a worldwide land grab and destruction of farming. And Bill Gates and others want to substitute farming with artificial meat, God knows what, or us eating cockroaches, who knows. But that's what they want, and they want to take away farming. So the climate story is used to control them. Right, so they're told that runaway climate change is going to happen because of cows farting or CO2. In particular, they're going about cows farting. Now, most people involved believe all that and just say it ain't going to be that important. But you see, once you've got a narrative, it will be used unless you destroy it. And the ruling circles rule by narratives. It's very, very important to them to defend that narrative. So it's very important to them that they don't let us turn up anywhere. So I've never been on the BBC, GB News, nothing. They don't allow me at all because we are attacking this narrative. We're pointing out that man-made climate change does not exist. Carbon dioxide levels follow temperatures, not the other way around. And the idea of a greenhouse gas is actually fake physics. Different gases in the atmosphere all reach the same temperature. There's nothing to what they claim at all. And there's no evidence for any of their data. I mean, I can go into all the details if you want, but they have predictions, all of which fail. But leaving that aside, the important thing for the farmers is to get to grips with breaking and defying all the green rules imposed upon them. So we were there talking about this and we got tremendous support, I mean, one thing is obviously farmers should sell directly from the farm to the cities and just trade like that. And I was in Portugal in 1976 when Salazar regime was overthrown, and that's what the farmers were doing. It was really, really interesting, I mean, they got pegged down, but, it was a revolutionary situation, of people taking over. And of course, the effect of it was, I don't know how money was going to work at that time, but interesting question. That the farmers were basically taking the food into the cities and getting something in exchange. I don't know what. But leaving that aside, the point is that the farmers have to break the green agenda. Another thing they've been made to do is to, in the name of rewilding, they're told to close down dams, not having any more dams, stop dredging. Well, that's directly causing flooding. That's what happened in Spain. The 104 dams around there were closed down. Dams have been closed in Britain. There'll be floods caused by deliberate neglect, and they'll say it's all climate, and then they'll say therefore we've got to go after the cows. It's a pile of lies there which we have to break, and we got a lot of interest on it because a lot of farmers can see the National Farmers Union is doing nothing for them, and the Together operation is just having them parade around talking about tax. Well, okay, but the tax is not the main issue.
And the reason we got talking is because I obviously wanted to explain the financial situation to you.
Yeah.
Because all legal and political influence stem from economic power.
I agree with that.
And due to the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, which pegged all European currencies to the US dollar, and the US dollar was backed by gold, when Nixon removed the US dollar from the gold standard on the 15th of August 1971, all US dollar and currencies backed by it became fiat currency, which means they had no value, which means they can inflate the supply as much as they like without any economic penalty to themselves. And this is what Bitcoin fixes. So hopefully I'm going to try and explain to you today.
No, it's brilliant what you're saying.
Bitcoin is.
The difficulty is getting people to understand. But press on.
All right, fantastic.
So Bretton Woods 1944, that's a kind of watershed is what you're telling me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the whole purpose of World War II was actually the world's largest ever gold heist. Because the US corporations... The US corporations...
Does he agree with that? Have you talked to Nick Colston about this
idea? I'm not sure.
Because he just says the city started World War I and World War II.
Yeah, they did.
For the reasons he didn't say the reasons, but what you're saying could well be the reasons.
Yeah, it was a gold heist to bring about the Bretton Woods Agreement because the US corporations were funding and supplying Hitler through the Hamburg America Line shipping company. And the Luftwaffe could not have continued flying if they weren't being supplied with their supplies of petrol ethyl lead from the US corporations. They could have stopped the war immediately by stopping his supplies of petrol ethyl lead, but they didn't, because the whole point of the Second World War was to have this gold heist. And so in 1944, when they felt like they had enough gold, and this is why when Hitler tried to stop the war in 1942, it was all the other leaders that said, no, we haven't got enough gold yet. And Hitler didn't realize what was going on. But it was just like, look, we've got enough ground here. There's no need for this war.
Yeah, because we've gained enough ground, so let's stop
it. And he also wrote to Winston Churchill and said, look, I have got nothing against the British people whatsoever. In fact, I will back the British people. If anybody attacks Great Britain, I will help defend it. So what kind of enemy actually says I will actually protect and defend your realm for you when you need it? So that just goes to show you that World War II was a massive gold heist. And in 1944, the US corporations turned round to the European governments and said, oh, look at that. You now no longer have enough gold in your banks to back the amount of currency that you have in circulation because we've got it. So therefore, we propose that your currencies are going to be backed by our currency, and it's our currency that's going to be backed by gold because we've got it all. But then, Nixon shock, 15th of August 1971, which was the 100-year anniversary of Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini that outlined...
the three world wars.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's why they did it, because they knew that once they had control of the financial system, it was just simply a matter of time that they would achieve their goal, which is why they did it. So it was like a nod to Albert Pike saying, yeah, we've achieved it now. We've got control of the financial system. Nothing can stop us, because all legal and political influence stem from economic power. And this is why Bitcoin is so important. So we already had a chat on the way here, and I was explaining to you about the elements that commoditize data. But anyone can make a digital commodity. But what they can't do is replicate the neutral size and growth of the network. That's what makes Bitcoin unique. And so in order for it to go through this period of neutral organic growth, a time limit had to be set. And so the network was started on the 3rd of January 2009.
Yeah.
And that neutral organic growth phase was set to finish on the 1st of January 2020. And this is why they brought in COVID lockdown in early 2020, because the period of neutral organic growth was due to come to an end. And they can't lose control of the financial system because they'll lose control of everything. So in order to stop the economy and prevent people from trading and potentially realizing that you could use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, they locked the economy down.
Oh, sure. No. My business basically collapsed on that. I mean, we've sort of recovered, but loads of businesses just collapsed because the trade became impossible, difficult, no money, whatever.
Yeah.
Chaos.
So this gold coin here that you can see, this is the original and genuine Bitcoin protocol.
Okay.
And you can see the first fork that comes off it is bright orange and it's got a slanted B on it.
Okay.
And it's called BTC.
Okay.
So in 2017, prior to bringing out the SPARS pandemic, they had to find a way to subvert the Bitcoin protocol. Okay. And so what they did is they created an alternative one, but they colluded with the exchanges to list it as BTC. So BTC has now got $100,000 price per coin.
Right.
And people think they're buying Bitcoin when in actual fact, they're buying an alternative protocol that's been created by the cabal.
Yeah.
And the way they made it worthless is if me and you have an agreement between us, it's the contract that allows that agreement to be enforced.
Correct. It's a contract. We've got a contract.
If I send you a bit of digital data, the way I prove that I've sent it is that my digital signature is on it.
No, that's right.
So if I send you a bit of digital data and it doesn't have a signature on it, I can't prove that I've sent it to you, and I can't even prove that you've received it.
No.
So therefore, I have no claim on it, and if I have no claim, I have no contractual obligation to it, and therefore it has no economic value to me. So the cabal realized that actually, in order to remove all contractual credibility and economic value from the Bitcoin network, what they had to do was somehow separate the digital signatures from the transaction data. And they did this through what they said was a software upgrade called SegWit, which is why I've got this image here of a robber with a mask on it.
So let's get clear what they do. They separate what? The digital
signature
from
the transaction.
Okay. And this is done by what?
SegWit.
SegWit.
So they called it. SegWit is an abbreviation for segregated witness.
Oh, okay.
And the witness data is the signature.
Got it. Okay.
For those listening, Piers is writing all this down in his notepad, which is good. And so what happened politically was that doing that once wasn't enough. So they had to do it again. And so they subverted the protocol again. And again, people, by this time, people are getting a little bit tired of this. And they're just like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. What's going on? So
it mystifies everything. Then,
exactly. Anyway. Yeah. So there are so many, there's one truth, but there are multiple lies that can be spun from the truth. Of course. And there's only one protocol that can commoditize data, but you can create an unlimited number of securitized, economically worthless protocols. And this is what is hard to explain to people.
What's the second one called down here? Or BCH?
BCH, yeah.
What's BCH stand for? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter really, but it's another one, yeah.
Stands for Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, Bitcoin Cash, okay.
And so the genuine Bitcoin had a third ticker symbol, and now it's just simply called BSV. And so I'm going to show you the economic model of how Bitcoin works.
Okay.
So on the left here, you can see the distribution model of the coins from the network.
Okay.
Now, this block reward gets cut in half every 210,000 blocks.
Okay.
And it keeps getting cut in half until it ends at 0.
Okay.
So when it ends at 0, the mining operations need something else to substitute.
When you talk about mining, people don't know what you're on about, but it's a game they play with numbers too. Okay.
Yeah, so they call it mining because it's what they're doing is digitally extracting coins from the network.
Okay.
So in the same way that you dig for gold, you extract digital data from the network here.
Yeah. Okay.
So because the supply of Bitcoin is fixed, it will end at 0 once all the coins have been distributed, in the same way that all the gold has then been extracted from the ground, there's none left.
Mm-hmm.
So those who economically sustain the network need something else to substitute the block reward. And what substitutes it is the block fee. And the block fee comes from the volume of transactions on the network, with people paying small amounts to upload their personal digital content onto a network that doesn't have any central point of authority or control, which means they retain sovereignty of the content that they produce and upload.
Okay.
Whereas at the moment, if you upload something onto either like Facebook or YouTube or Google or anything like that, you're surrendering sovereignty of your content.
Yeah,
because it's on their servers.
I just tell you, yeah.
Yeah, they own it. So how is that fair? What we need is a commoditized network where we own and control our own content, and we can then benefit from its global sale and distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Bitcoin network allows, which is what the central banks are so scared of.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've done with BTC is developed what they said was a second layer, so that there are no transactions going into the pockets of the miners, which means the network will eventually collapse, which is absolutely crackers. So to give you an idea of what we're looking at, these are the various what they call Bitcoin forks that have been created over time. Now you can see on the left that BTC has got a market price of $101,415. But if we scroll down, you can see that it's got 99% of the hash rate and 98% of the nodes.
Okay.
Now, nodes create blocks and process transactions.
You better explain what a node is.
A node is a mining operation.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
And they produce hash rate, which is what extracts the coins from the system. But you don't need network nodes or hash rate unless you have transactions on the network.
Okay.
So when we scroll down to this cursor, you'll see what looks very odd is the fact that the transactions are all on this network here in red, which is BSV, and it's only got a price of $67. And yet it's got 99.23% of the transaction volume. And the block size is the amount of data that's actually being uploaded onto the network. So the data is uploaded via the transactions. The transactions are processed by the nodes that create blocks and then supply hash rate. And the hash rate is meant to be tracked to the value that's meant to be representative of the price. But the price is completely manipulated at the moment by a crypto fiat currency called Tether.
I've heard of Tether, but I didn't understand it. Yeah, okay.
So Tether is meant to be tethered to the US dollar. So it's a bit of data that's meant to represent $1.
Yeah.
And they make this from nothing in the same way that they create US dollar from nothing. So they've made this to artificially pump the price to distract people away from the figures that they should be looking at, which is the utility of the network. Because this is what the miners of the network will eventually be attracted to. And the miners are the largest coin holders, the largest concentration of coin holders in the entire world.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So imagine when they realize the mistake they've made. Yeah. Imagine the mistake they've made when they realize they've been mining this, but as the block reward ends at 0, there's going to come a point where they're just like, hold on a minute. We can now no longer afford to sustain our mining operations because we're not getting enough coins in. Where are the coins? Oh shit, they're over on BSV because the world has started using that. And this is what the cabal are so scared of. Another clue here is that if you look at these are versions of Bitcoin. You can see that Bitcoin Core in yellow says they're on version 22. So that's not the version that was initially started.
No.
Bitcoin Cash is on version 27. ABC, well, I mean, you can tell that just from the price that it's 0. It's nothing like what Bitcoin should be. Whereas version 1 is what Bitcoin SV is. It hasn't changed from version 1, which is the Genesis block. And so looking at some other figures here, like this one, this is a site called BitInfo Charts. And this pie chart here is representative of the entire crypto market, which I will show you here. These are all the coins that are listed. So it's currently got a market cap of $3.6 trillion. So if you were to add the market capitalization of all of these coins that we're looking at here, going down and down and down.
So these
down
coins
and
are
down.
different Bitcoin-like things created by others, are they?
Yeah, they're just economically worthless digital pieces of garbage.
Oh, okay.
Is what they are.
But people think they're worth something, don't they?
Yeah. And so you can see here on the left, it says 39,096. So that means there are actually 39,036 coins on the market, and yet there's only one coin that's actually got 96.9% of the entire transactions of the 39,000 coins. It's all on this one protocol. And then if we try and find where that protocol is in the scheme of things, I'll see if I can find it for you. So we've got BTC, which is the fake one that they've created. So we go down all these coins here. And I think the last time I looked at it earlier, it was around number 87. Look, so this one coin buried down at number 87 in market cap has got 97% of the entire market's transaction on its network. That's exactly what I was about to say. This is what the cabal are trying to hide from people. And this is why they are moving so fast to try and steal all the land off the farmers, because they know if we start using a financial system that is outside of their central banking system, they lose control of everything, because all legal and political influence stem from economic
And they've got to
power.
control property and assets. If they can't control money or whatever, that's what they need, and which of course is land.
Yeah. So what they're trying to do is steal as much land before.
It's a bigger picture that looks like these tractors and these guys tooting all about their tax. You know, Jesus.
It was epic today, though, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic. I've never seen such a large display of unity. Especially, I mean, the machines went right the way down Whitehall to Trafalgar Square.
But if they wanted to do some action, they could block every bridge in London, easy. And they could just stay there for a week and say, government, end this, or we're not moving. I mean, I don't know. But they don't have leadership to do that.
Well, the thing is, again,
not at all.
Even if
leadership to stop that.
Even if they did that, that's not going to change the current financial system.
That's true.
Which is the cause of all the problems.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fantastic show, Piers. This has actually been 24 minutes.
Wow.
So I hope you've learned quite a bit from
it's
today.
very good. I understand, the essence of what you're saying, but I think the difficulty of getting it across to a farmer or anybody is very hard.
Yeah, but we did it. I got it across to you just now, didn't I?
Well, yeah, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Well, we start with where there's one, there'll be another.
Yeah. Well, we live in hope.
There we go. And that is
I've
great
taught a lot
way.
of students, and I used to say that, but they didn't all understand, especially social science women students who don't even want to add up. They just.
Well, anyway, this has been
toss coins. They understand gambling.
Oh, there we go.
Teach them that. That's all right.
Well, this has been a great show. So this has been a good time to end it. So if you want to, just say a few closing statements here. on whether or not you're like, I've done a good job of
No, I
explaining
think
it to you?
what you said is very important and it's illuminating. And, you know, I understand the essence, but it is difficult to get across to people that, you know, that the whole of the financial system is their financial system, or what they think of theirs, is in grave danger. And and that is the reason for this massive world land grab, for example. I mean, if we can get that across to people, that would be so effective.
Well, how about this? I would say that people will unite due to economic incentive. Yeah. So when the miners realise they've made a mistake with this one, and that value starts flooding over here, that's when you get economic phenomenon such as fear of missing out and price discovery kicking in, where people are just like, hold on a minute, why is this number going up? What is it I don't know? And then we can say, oh, so did you know that you've been asset stripped your entire life? What you should be using as a medium of exchange is a positive asset and not a toxic asset. Because if you're using a positive asset that actually increases in value over time, small businesses can then survive and thrive rather than eventually being forced out and struggling to survive if the medium of exchange goes down.
So what should a farmer do? You've got a farmer, they've got, well, the way they see it, they've got big capital value and they've got quite large cash flows in and out, but they don't have cash in banks. They basically, that's how they operate.
Yeah.
So what should they do? Should they then sell their land and turn it into Bitcoin? Or just keep the land? I think they should keep the land at all costs. Keep the land. Don't sell anything. That's my view.
Well, just for anybody listening, what we'll say is this is not financial advice. So that this is not financial advice.
No. You can't give financial advice. I know that. You get arrested if you give financial advice.
And so I wouldn't tell anybody to buy this. That's what I wouldn't do. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't want people to think that that's what I'm saying.
No,
but
if
it might be a good idea.
Say, all right, Piers, what are you saying we should do? Well, I'm going to say don't sell your land. Or should I? I mean, well, you can't tell me what to say.
Exactly.
But
what I would say is that if they wanted to be able to track their supply chain from start to finish, they could trace everything on the Bitcoin network where the data of that supply chain cannot be tampered with and it cannot be cracked, hacked, altered, or changed. Which means it might be very useful to you and everybody else, because it means you can trust where the data has come from because you can trace the chain of provenance.
Yes.
Indeed. And on that note, we'll leave it there.
Trace
so I hope.
Train of provenance.
There
I like
we go.
That's a very legal term. Provenance. Where does it come from?
Yeah. Right, there we go. So I hope everybody who's listening to this has enjoyed the show. We'll leave it there. And as ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.